globe. I'm still your man, Lanre Ajayi. Welcome you to the Global Talkative Series. It's a platform where we hang out, inspire each other, and then collaborate, and then find ways in which we can address issues and challenges, happening, to us during this pandemic. And like we did on this show, we have guests from across the walks of life, to come, share their minds, their thoughts, and then glean from their, wealth of experiences, and then we can take that and learn one or two, lessons. And I want to tell you that we are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube and on Instagram today. And today I have an amazing guest. My friend, my sister from another mother. She's an amazing woman, very energetic, hardworking, beautiful woman. Her name is Leah Nicholson. She's a movie producer, a director, and a writer. We work on some projects together, which very soon, all things working, we're gonna see. So it's an honor to have Leah, and Leah will be joining us on Instagram, right about now. Let me just send this invitation to Leah.
Yes, that's why I keep looking down. I'm not just like, I'm busy.
So I sent that to you.
It says I can watch your live video.
Yeah.
I'll send a request to be in the live video.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Put this up here.
All right. Good.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. Don't worry. It's gonna work well. Yeah, I can see you very well.
There.
Perfect.
Is that working okay? Okay.
Yeah, we have some echo. Can you just reduce the volume of the phone a bit?
Yeah, it should have been all the way down. There we go. There. It was all the way down when I started it.
Okay. Well, what about the laptop?
Are you still getting echo?
I think from my end, but just to be sure, the laptop just reduce half.
Yeah, I'm on headphones, and this shouldn't be echoing. Shouldn't be echoing.
Good. All right. Thank you very much, Leah, for joining today. So, viewers, I have Leah Nicholson, a movie director, a producer, and a writer, here. And then you can join us live on Facebook.com/DiamondTouchX, on Instagram at Lanre Ajayi one, and on YouTube channel, Lanre Ajayi. And, and if you have any question, you can just post your question on Facebook or YouTube, and then the questions will be here live for our audience to see. And you can post a question as well on Instagram. We're gonna have a wonderful time this evening. And before we go into this discussion today, I would like to give you a background information, a short bio about my guest, so you can have an understanding of where she's coming from, our journey, our experience, and then to be amazing. So I'm just going to read that to you now. Leah Nicholson is an award-winning producer, director, and writer with Downtime Productions, as well as the past president of the Calgary Society of Independent Filmmakers. She has completed many projects, including web series, music videos, and short films, including an original music she produced, directed, entitled "My Life is a Musical." Winner of an Abara Film and Television Award at the 40th Annual Roses. Our project fictions, the half-hour television show, was a part of the CBC Comedy Cool program and was selected as one of the top 50 new Canadian comedies. It's amazing. She's currently in development with several film and television projects while continuing her work as freelance director. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the amazing Leah Nicholson.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Lanre. I'm very excited to be here and just excited to see someone's face that I'm not related to by blood.
Okay.
Because that's the only people I've seen recently.
All right. So how you been? How you doing?
Doing okay. Like I said, seeing people that I'm only related to by blood is, well, it's a good thing I like them.
Okay.
And generally just hanging out a lot. You know, I guess on our topic today, and as you know, and as I guess probably most people know, the film industry is basically shut down,
Okay.
and so that's you know, been kind of a mixed bag. It's given me time to work on things that I'm interested in. That are, you know, my own personal projects and writing and things like that. But also I really miss like my crew. I miss the film like family. And I miss collaborating with people,
Yeah.
because the reason why I'm not a writer exclusively or a novelist or something like that is because my favorite thing is collaborating with people, with other artists and craftspeople and like other people who are very talented. Their energy gives me energy. And so when I'm just alone, I think I almost get kind of confused as to like what I'm doing and like you know what this industry is, because it's so disconnected from where I want to be, I
Okay.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, collaboration is the key because that's one of the major things that this COVID-19 pandemic has done. We've not been able to, do this together. You know, even if you have a script now, how do you go about producing the scripts? How do you go about sharing the scripts? And that has been a major issue. And I want to thank all those who are joining us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Moving Motion, thank you for joining us. Wilma Photography, thank you for joining us. Olutanda, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. So today I have some questions that some of the audience have sent in, which we're gonna be sharing. And then, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free, post them on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, and then they'll be here to answer the questions, for you. So, this COVID-19 has totally changed the trajectory of how consumers and producers of movies go about viewing and making their works.
Yeah.
This changed the way we do things. So, the first question I have is this: what was your first reaction when the pandemic broke out?
So I guess just before it was like announced as an official pandemic, I was on set. And so we were aware that there was, that there was this virus going around. And so I was just on this set for a little bit of time, and I was meeting a bunch of people I'd never worked with before, and became like COVID arm bumps, became like, instead of shaking hands, because, in this industry it's like many industries, shaking hands is a way of, oh, hey, and by the way, like my name is blah, 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 blah. And so it becomes to been like, we got a thing going on. So like shoulder bumps, everybody. So we were aware of it just before, and by just before, I mean, I think that this was in like early February. And so it was like, it wasn't near like the tail end when things were getting like dicey. I've been on lockdown since being on that set.
Wow.
But yeah, and so because I'm immunocompromised myself, and so I've been trying to stay safe, and my family also has been like, they've been going out, they've been doing the shopping for me and things like that. And so like I've been in the house. I haven't gone on any walks. I haven't
Wow.
I have not gone anywhere. I'm here. But yeah, and so just before the pandemic, I wasn't sure, and I think in general we weren't sure. We kind of thought we were going to be returning to work in a few weeks. I think that like for me personally, I had things that were lined up that were going to be really exciting in my career that now I'm not even sure if I can actually talk about. But as far as my directing career, there were some really exciting, amazing opportunities that were coming up for me. And because of now this pandemic that has been totally like, I don't know if we'll get it anymore. Like, I don't know if I'll get it, but it's like one of those things that can set you on the path for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So, but obviously I look at that, and then I also look at the alternative of if we hadn't shut down production, if we hadn't, if the people that I work with hadn't made these good decisions for themselves, for the crews, for the actors who are flying in from all over, where would we be now? And would lots and lots of people be sick? I think so. Would people maybe have passed away? Probably. And so even though it was a detriment to my career is way less important than people's lives and health.
Mm.
So that's my stand on that, and I think that it's excellent that here in Alberta and in Calgary, just which is specifically what I know, that they've taken these steps and that they have kept production shut down and kept people safe.
Wow. Like you said, you've been so lucky. You got some family members doing your grocery shopping.
Yeah, yeah,
I wish I can get the same thing. For me, I have to
yeah.
my family and my wife and my kids, I ask them stay at home while I go, to do all of that. So you're so lucky.
Well,
Got
thank you
someone.
for doing that for your family, though. I think having one person go out, do the groceries, and get like the essentials and stuff like that, because you do need that person.
Yeah.
That person's a hero, and I'm not joking. Like seriously, that person is being like, I'll take responsibility for this, and I'll make sure that when I go out, I'm taking precautions, and that when I come back in, I'm making sure that you guys aren't like I think that that's great, and
Yeah.
I applaud you for that. I think that that's really
Thank
great,
you
and I'm
very
really
much. Thank you very much. And thanks to your family member doing that for you. So
that's
our
my
next
mom,
question,
my mama.
yeah, yeah, mom, thank you very much. Well,
Yeah.
so our next question takes us to, your relationship with the city of Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is, what is your relationship with Calgary? Number one, if you weren't born and raised there, what brought you to the city? And what aspect do you like about it or dislike?
So I was born and raised here, actually, as was my mother, and so yeah, we're pretty Calgarian.
Wow.
Yeah, and so my relationship with Calgary is complicated, especially as an artist. Originally, my plan was not to go into the arts. It was to go into banking, which I guess being such a business town, that might have made a bit more sense. But now, as an artist, I see Calgary from that perspective. And Calgary and the arts have a weird and complicated relationship. Uh,
Mm,
I think the people in this city that are passionate about the arts are extremely passionate about the arts. Arts administrators and people who do grants and funding and things like that are amazing people who are really dedicated to helping the arts not only survive here but thrive. And I think that there are people on the other end that view arts as a luxury,
yeah.
as something that is frivolous. And I
Wow.
think in this pandemic, we're seeing that the arts are indispensable. That is how
Yes.
people are spending their time. Especially when people can't go to live theater, people can't go to concerts and things like that. The film industry is really, I think, keeping a lot of people sane, keeping a lot of people entertained, keeping a lot of people who would maybe be panicking or doing other things occupied. In that there is more out there. The world is all, it's all still out there, and
Mm,
we'll get back to it. But I think I think it's comforting for people right now. I find it comforting
wow.
to watch even, things like Star Trek, old episodes of Star Trek, and be like, it'll be better. It'll be better soon. And so an aspect that I like about it is that the people in the arts in Calgary love the arts, people support and respect the arts. And then what I dislike is people who don't value the arts. And I hope that
Mm,
that will change now that
yeah.
they see how vital it is for a society to function,
Yeah.
to have these artists and the arts thriving in their communities.
Yeah. So it's very important because art is not just about luxury.
No.
It is part of our life. Everything we do, I see art in everything.
Yes. Yeah.
Our food, our fashion, our music, the style of our building, the landscape. I see art in everything. And I think, like you said, it's item for people to change their perspective, about the way they view art, especially. So for our viewers, if you're just joining us on the Global Technology Series, I'm talking with the amazing Leah Nicholson, a movie the producer, director, and writer. And today's topic is the rise and fall of the movie industry. The challenges we're facing, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, how it has changed the trajectory of things around this industry. So that takes us to the next question. And before then, you can join us on Facebook Live, Diamonds X, or Instagram at Lanre Ajayi1, or on YouTube, Lanre Ajayi. So the next question is this about what can you say about the movie industry in Calgary in terms of how far we have come?
So I think if we talk like historically, and just kind of like a brief like little history, I think that we've grown a great deal. Over kind of a very short period here. I think people have realized that we have a lot to offer here, that we have great crews, that we have beautiful locations, and we previously had really great tax incentives for people to come here. But that is more in the service production, I guess, side of things. And something that I find much more interesting here is the development of our own independent scene. Which I think, due to a lot of things that happened kind of in the late 70s, early 80s, was the formation of a bunch of media arts collectives, especially as you mentioned, I'm a past president of CSIF, which is the Calgary Society of Independent Filmmakers. And when those filmmakers came together and made this society where filmmakers could meet up with each other, they could interact, but most importantly, they could actually like rent equipment. They could buy, film to shoot on from there. They could get mentorships to actually start making their films. I think that was a big changing, or like a big milestone in our industry, because now we have other media arts organizations. We have FAVUP in Edmonton. We have AMAS, which is the Provincial Media Arts Alliance organization. And so I think as as our own industry there, we are creating a lot of talent. We're creating a lot of great and interesting work. And I guess my hope is for the future of that is that we'll continue to get the funding and support from the government that we have previously received. Right now, that's kind of up in the air. And so it's a really scary time. And then especially you throw a pandemic onto that. And I personally, all the contracts and projects that I had for the rest of this year have all been canceled.
Wow.
And so, and it's because I mostly work with nonprofits and artists. And so, pandemic plus funding cuts equals, we were going to do this project, but now we can't. And so I think it's going to be a time of, I hope, art from adversity. So we were hoping to get something. We were hoping something was going to work out. It hasn't. What's next? And so, I think that there's a lot of potential here. I work with some of the most amazing and talented people. And it's truly it's like an honor to work with them and to watch them work. And I just hope that we can continue to foster that kind of talent here.
Okay, good, very well. So, talking in terms of funding, I have a question here, which I'm going to be posting for others to see. Now, the question is around funding, basically, that what ways do you think potential filmmakers can easily access funding?
I see the word easily there. And I mean, the short answer is none. There are no ways to easily access funds unless you're personally wealthy, in which case please contact me.
Okay.
If you're independently wealthy, please contact me. But I think that on a startup level, there actually are some good programs where you don't directly access funds, but through organizations like CSIF, you can access equipment, and you can access equipment. If you apply to some of their production funding and things like that, you can access equipment for free. You can also access equipment that comes with a mentor to help you make your first movie or to help you advance your career. And so I'm not sure if those are necessarily easy, but I think that those are some of the best ways to access funding and to get started. After that, getting funding is weird, and especially right now, if you're in Alberta, there is there's just like a lot up in the air with as far as what the government's going to do and then what this pandemic is going to do. But I hope that changes. I hope that we get a little more stability, because I think that it would be a shame to let all this talent here. Everybody will have to leave, and I think that we'll have a big brain drain, and I think that will be really horrible. Yeah.
Okay. Now there's some organizations now like the Brazil Foundation, Kagi Foundation, Calgary Art Development. They're saying that okay, there's some limited amount of funding that they can provide for
Hmm.
artists who can make contents available online.
Hmm.
Now, you know, this is just like an emergency fund.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you do that? Because I have folks asking me, okay, they love writing. They have scripts that involves getting like more than one person to be on the set. Now they have the script ready, but they don't know how to go about that since we still have this issue of limited people in the place, in the space.
Hmm.
Now, like you said, your funding for most of the projects have been cancelled.
Hmm.
So what do we do in this situation? Still talking about the funding issue because like unless you are a genius, you have an idea of this COVID pandemic, you probably be thinking of ways to go around that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what will happen after the COVID? You know, you have projects you suspended and they stop your funding. So are you gonna go back to them or in such situation if I'm there, how do I go back and tell them, you know, COVID is over, my funding, I need that funding, and already the time for the funding is over. So what do you think we can do in such situations?
I think that we, like I was saying, I think that art from adversity, I think there's a lot of adversity right now. And so if we kind of harness that, I think that we can make some great art. And I think we can make some great art that also says something about the state that this province is in.
Mm,
As far as, I'm just going to say it, the downright disrespect that it's showing to artists.
mm,
I think that there is this kind of level of apathy towards the arts in general, and as we discussed, thinking that they're not a vital sector.
mm,
And obviously I think that is deeply incorrect. And so as far as getting funding and things like that, kind of like the local arts funding, just in my experience, I have found that they don't really fund a lot of film projects in general, unless they are heavily skewed on the like experimental artistic side.
yeah.
So anything that has, and again, like there are exceptions to this,
Mm,
but in general, that's not really where the bulk of their funding goes. So I've usually gone more like provincial and national funding routes. But those are also very difficult to they're tough to crack. They're tough to break into. And so I find that the best way if you want to create your content is to find some people who want to also create content. And if you're lucky, like I have been, there'll be amazing, talented people that you wish you could pay exorbitant amounts of money to.
yeah.
And if you know, I feel like there's also like a trade off. If you can provide them with something, and this isn't always the case, but if you can provide them with something on something that they want to do,
Yeah.
they will often help you. Or if you're like the people who I've worked with, they're just doing it out of the kindness of their heart, and I'm still not really sure why. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to find a way to thank them. But the way that I found to thank them so far is anytime I have a paying job, they're the first people I'm calling.
Okay.
Uh, but that's another thing, right? Is if you know you're going to have paid work coming up, you can say, "Hey, I want to do this like small project. This is just for me." But also, like, I will make sure. Oh, and I guess the big thing is making sure that everybody is taken care of in like the best way that you can. But now with the COVID thing, it'll be a whole new thing because like before, I used to be able to like, I'm actually like a pretty good cook, and like I'm a pretty good little baker, and so I can make food and kind of on set. Basically, it's as much as you can eat. That's
Mm,
like, you know, and so it was those kind of things. And now I think a lot of things will have to be filmed, you know, perhaps by actors with directors and things like that, over video for like if you wanted to do something immediately. And I know some people are doing that. I think that there are some movies and videos and things like that coming out where it is an entire story told over just like with what we're doing now over a
mm,
webcam. But my fear with that is it's going to get real old real fast.
yeah.
I think we have a small window here, and I think the window is rapidly closing on whether or
Hmm.
not people are going to be interested in that, and especially without access to
Okay.
good audio,
Yeah.
with like weird, like people, like, you know, and I wouldn't expect them to be, but actors aren't camera operators, right? So framing and all these things, it's utilitarian as opposed to artistic. And so I think, I think there is something to be said with teaching people other skills as we go along and things like that. Like, I think there's going to be some merit in that, in teaching actors, like, hey, like, set up a camera here, and work with the people either in your household or with like that close, like we were just discussing before we went live. If you have two families that are coming together and they're only seeing each other, then maybe, or if you have two households even, right? So if you have just a person that you and each other, you're just each other's buddies, and you go over to each other's houses, maybe that person can help you film something, and then that person is learning a weird new skill. But I think that the future of this is going to be weird, and funding, especially in Alberta, is going to be really tight. And so I think it will be up to all of us to seek, seek opportunities elsewhere, and trying to advocate for providing good funding here and from our government, hopefully.
Wow. I guess from your statement, it's the East industry thrive more based on your relationships.
Yeah.
Based on the people you know and how credible you are. For someone to drop their $1 million or whatever to fund your project, it's more of relationship.
Yeah, and like $1 million even is like not very much money in film, which is it's a weird thing. But when you start adding up like your equipment rental fees, your location fees, your insurance, like all of these, the insurance for each of your actors on set, like it's little things, but you start being like, we have $1 million, and then you'd be like, wait, I got to feed everybody, and if we're going like out in the middle of nowhere, I got to make sure that we have like bathrooms for everybody. We got to make sure that everybody has vehicles, that we have gas. And so it's all these little things that add up and add up and add up. And then all of a sudden you're at $1 million and you're like, but we haven't even started like editing it yet. And so it's definitely about relationships. And I always say, and I hope this is true, I don't think that there's anybody who I've worked with that wouldn't work with me again. And I hope that continues to be true. And I'm even saying that as like people who've worked for free or just on spec or in hopes that the project would get picked up. But I say it in the same way back. There's nobody that I worked with that I wouldn't work with again. And so I've been really lucky to have a really talented, really professional, and also just generally amazing group of people that I've kind of found in this weird world.
That's good. That's good. That tells more about your character. At the same time, for you to be able to work again and again with different teams, over and over again, that speaks more of a good character. Because I remember being on set sometimes some years back, and then some folks were saying, that guy, anytime he's on set, I hate him. I don't like him. I was, why? Even though it's in court, a celebrity, it's a job here and there, and that speaks more to the person's character, which, like, it's amazing. You have that going for you. That is amazing.
I've just been really, really lucky. And the same thing, even with even just like in casting, I've been really lucky. I've just people who have just come in and been like, I'll give it a try, and they've been perfect, and I want to keep working with them over and over again, and they've become my friends. And I don't know, I've been extraordinarily lucky, perhaps not monetarily, but in the relationships that I built and the things that I've made that I'm so proud of, and the team that I work with, who I adore and respect so much. In that, I've been really lucky, and I hope I get to see them again soon.
I hope so. So going to the next question. The question is, in what ways do you believe the movie industry has the ability to provide substantial economic benefits to the city and the province?
Oh man, okay, so many ways. So as we're kind of transitioning from one economic system, I guess, based on resource extraction, we're going to need to move into something else. And I think that the film industry is an excellent thing to move into. It is something that it's a renewable resource with its people. It is something that creates tons and tons of jobs with good, high-paying, skilled jobs. It brings international talent here. And so if we, I think, what was it? And I don't want to misquote this, but I believe for every dollar spent, it's at least $3 we get back in economic activity.
Wow.
So the returns on this are, if you're just looking at economics, and let's say you hate movies for some reason, you hate movies, you hate anything being on a screen. I'm not sure why you're watching this right now, but anyway, even if you're just like, I just want to see the numbers, and it's at least, like I said, it's at least $3. I should have looked at the figure before. The return on investment is massive in economic activity. Like I said, it provides good paying jobs. It's a stable industry. It's not something that is going to go away because people are always going to want to be entertained. And as we've seen with this pandemic right now, people are just dying for more. Oh, sorry,
No,
not that. People are very hungry for new content. They're ravenous for it, and because of that, there's this push to create more and more and more. And like in BC, like there is no more studio space. They're looking to build more studios.
Wow.
Same thing in Toronto, and so. And it's because the tax credits they offer and the crews and the talent that they offer. And we could be a contender in that market. Not only that, with bringing international talent here, if we develop our own talent here, we wouldn't have people moving away. We have tons and tons of people who move and then get jobs and maybe even have to come back because the thing they got hired on is shooting here. And that's ridiculous to me, that you'd have to leave in order to come back and be successful. No, we should be working with homegrown talent here. And if we get like a TV show or a movie industry built up here that we can work with, then we'll have ongoing high-paying jobs that are, made by Albertans and, filled with Albertans in like all crew levels. And if we can start that kind of building, then we're going to have money from other investment coming into Alberta. And that will that just goes back and forth, right? And so that is a wonderful economic model. Plus, it doesn't damage the environment. So that's good. I like the environment.
Yeah, that's amazing. So go past a bit. What kind of movie do you enjoy most and why?
Weirdly, I enjoy documentaries the most, even though I'm not a documentary filmmaker. If you set me in front of a screen with a documentary about pretty much anything, I'm going to watch it. I'm actually not a big feature film fan. I'm really into TV. I'm really into long form. I like to really do deep dives into characters and their motivations, and I like to see that over a long term. And so a movie to me always feels like, I just met these people and now they're already done. We're already done. But with a documentary, I feel like I've gained something valuable. I've learned something. I watched this one movie. I got a pass to the Calgary Underground Film Festival, Docs Festival. And I just basically went and saw everything that I could that was playing. And my favorite thing ended up being something that I had no idea about, but it was Narco Cultura, which was about, I guess it was Mexican bands who are making music about the drug cartels, but in this very, I don't want to say, I guess a Latin style with a lot of guitar music and things like that. But they were banned in some places in the States for being glorifying drug culture and stuff like that. And I just thought it was one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen. And I only saw it because I was well, I'm already in the theater and I have a pass to see all the things I want. And I don't know what this is, so I'll just stay. And it ended up being fascinating. And so I love documentaries for that. I love that it gives you a little snapshot of a world, a little snapshot or a little snapshot of somebody's life. And I think that started with, even though this is a really dark thing, with the Paradise Lost series on HBO, where it followed three, I guess they were boys really at the time, boys who were convicted of killing three other much younger boys. And it followed the series of them just being basically arrested and convicted because they were weird goth kids. They were weirdos, to eventually at the end, and this will be a spoiler for the Paradise Lost series, to being let out of prison because they didn't do it. There was no evidence of it, and so they weren't exonerated. But that's a whole different thing. But I think my love and respect for documentary film stems from there, because that changed those people's lives. One of them was sentenced to death, and now he's out because he didn't do it. And so I think that is the power of film, and that's why I love documentaries so much, because even with their short format, they're able to do something really, really powerful. And I think that is what film is all about. So whether I think that there is always a truth in something, there's always something that resonates with people. There's a universal truth, but documentaries cut right to the truth, as opposed to it being more of a metaphor.
Yeah. Documentaries, very short, precise, to the point, without spending hours watching the movie, what's going to happen, which is amazing. Now, talking in terms of movies, why is it that we have more movies shot in places like Vancouver than Alberta?
Well, it's because of the tax. It's because of the tax incentives mostly. Mm-hmm. It's also because Vancouver is seen in some ways as a more desirable place to shoot, as far as like if the cast is coming in from, let's say, LA or whatever. It's more temperate climate, and so it's nicer in that way. But the thing is, other than having rainforest and ocean, Alberta has every kind of climate that you could want to shoot in, right? Yeah. Like we have mountains, we have the desert, and so we have all of, we have the prairies, we have all of these places where your film can take place. Mm-hmm. And so I think that right now, like, Vancouver is this hotspot because of the incentives that the British Columbia government gives to films to shoot there. We're making things more difficult here in Alberta for people to come here. They're kind of doing it like in like a weird system where they usually the way they used to work is, if you spent over a certain amount of money, I believe it was $60,000, you would get something back no matter what. So it wasn't something you had to apply for and wait to see if you got it. You just got it. Is
it from the provincial government or municipal?
Provincial government. So if you spent over $60,000 in Alberta on like Alberta, cruise locations, whatever, you got basically like a rebate.
Okay.
Right. And so what they've done now is, and what that meant was, if you already knew you were going to spend $5 million here, you would come here and you'd start shooting, and then they'd give you your money. What they want to do now, and what they're doing now, is you would come here and not know whether or not you're going to get the money. Right now, it is more of a grant process, in that there is deliberation over who gets what money, and producers can't work like that, right? Like, if they need to come shoot, they need to come shoot now. Yeah. And when they knew that the money was coming, then great. Now that they don't know that the money is coming, they're not going to come shoot here.
Wow, that is, it's like you want to do something, like producers have a timeline. They want to work, get on set, but if that promise is not there, if they're not sure, they're not going to come.
And they're going to go somewhere where it is sure. And that's why Toronto is packed. That's why Vancouver is like jam full. Like they can't fit any more productions in Vancouver. And our movie studio that we spent all this money on is sitting empty.
Wow. So as a director and a writer and that's in this industry, what of advice do you have for our government?
Our government.
Because I know some of them are listening. They're going to get this video.
I would love them to, and I would love to speak with any of them. But I'd love for them to, if they're just looking at the bottom line, look at the economic return that you're getting.
Yeah.
And like I said, I believe it's at least $3 for every dollar spent. But it's more than that. It is putting Alberta on the map as a cultural location, as somewhere where people will want to visit. There's, like with Heartland, people come from all over the world to see where Heartland was filmed.
That is good.
And I've seen it, and I've seen it at I've been out to High River. I've seen these things. I've seen how excited people are about these projects that are filmed here. I've seen how excited that they become about our landscape, the beauty that we offer. And that is part of the appeal of the shows that are shot here. And so we get, international acclaim and credit for our beautiful landscapes. Our crews get paid. And then they are, the more that they make, the better off that they're doing, the more that they're, paying back into the government. And then the more the government is able to afford on things like social services and, just in general, the things that people need. And so I think that there is just such a positive, loop of things happening, because once they have money from those service productions, that means that we can start creating our own productions. And when we create our own productions, that means we have control over, casting and things like that. And we can also say, this is made in Alberta by Albertans, and show that we have a lot of talent here, because if we don't do that, we're all going to have to leave.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be devastating. I think living in a place that is devoid of the arts and artists and creativity is a place people don't want to live, and that'll lead to more people leaving because they don't want to live here. And so that's just a negative feedback loop. So you can have a positive feedback loop, or you can have a negative one. And right now, I think our government is creating this negative feedback loop. And I'd encourage them to look at the numbers and talk to people in the industry, because it was suggested that there are on this Economic Recovery Council, there are no artists, and it was suggested there should be artists on it. And it was met with incredulity that an artist should be on it, an artist. And it's like, well, I mean, I didn't know that my degrees in business and economics were canceled out by my degree in film. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they canceled each other out. But like I said, I was going to go into banking before. So finding it laughable that an artist should be on an Economic Recovery Council is ridiculous to me, because in the arts, we have tons of people who are good at business, because they have to provide, comprehensive plans and business plans and structures and budgets, and in the, millions and millions of dollars worth. And to think that those people aren't capable of helping create an economic strategy is ridiculous to me, because that's all that they do.
Yeah, and I think as an artist or a creative individual or person, we've got a sixth sense. The way an artist see a thing is different from the way an economist or other individual sees them. And I don't know why we're not allowing those creative individuals to sit on the recovery plan of our community, of our city, which is very important. Thank you, DLR, for saying it's a great point, and I agree with you. They should allow artists or creative individuals to sit down, when it comes to planning, building structures or developing about the community, which, of course, our own viewpoints will be, an added value, an added advantage to what they're doing, which is very important. Thank you for that point. And if you're in any arm of government, we're reaching out to you to look at the numbers, see the potentials, especially in Alberta, see what the advantages we have in Vancouver and Toronto, and this might be our time, our opportunity. Since you said that all the film studios in Vancouver and LA and Toronto, they're all packed. This might be an opportunity for us.
Yeah, we got to scrap the cap. That's the film rallying cry right now, because there's a cap on funding, and there's also this weird new process, and so we got to get rid of that cap on funding, because the cap is only capping our economic potential. When you're capping funding, you're capping that return.
Yeah.
And the more money that gets spent here, especially as our resource extraction, especially like we saw oil prices plummet. We saw them plummet.
Wow. Yeah.
But this is not an industry that's going to plummet. People
No.
are not going to get over being entertained. That's not where things are going. And it's really it's time to have these conversations about where the future is and what the plan is going forward, and what the plan and we can look at it from an economics perspective exclusively if we want to, but I think we should also look at it for what is going to be the heart and soul of this province. Who are the creators, who are the builders, who's going to bring together community in hard times like we have right now, and it's going to be the artists.
Yes, exactly. I agree with you. That's amazing. So artists are vital to the soul of the city or any community, because we create joy.
Yes.
Great
Yeah.
harmony, peace. We're entertaining people while they're at home now. We're doing this, movies are being streamed, all of that. And I think, we should be categorized as part of frontline workers as well.
And that's the thing is that, we are out there, and I think that, what's going to happen when even just the film industry and things like that reopen is we are going to be taking a risk at the for the furthering of people's entertainment, for the enriching of their lives. And I think that people especially need to cling to things like that right now. And do we need to do it safely? Of course we do. Of course we do. Do I believe that there's a way to do it safely? Absolutely. I think that especially as we learn more about this, as we, develop things like vaccines and stuff like that, I think that will be great. I think that'll be wonderful. I don't think anybody should risk their lives for a movie. I never think that. I think that safety is the most important thing. I always say there's never a reason to yell at anyone in the film industry unless they're in imminent danger.
Yeah.
And so there's never a reason to put anyone in danger, because again, you're making a movie. And it should not be a life or death situation. But I think that there's ways we can do it with social distancing. I think that there's ways we can do it by not bringing people in from all over. Maybe we'll learn the lesson from this, to hire as much locally as possible. I think it would be great if instead of hiring directors from Toronto, from Vancouver, we hired locally. We have talent here.
Yes.
And yes, I guess that's self-serving as a director that's working here. But we have talent here. We have the people that can do these amazing things. We have cinematographers. We have amazing actors here. We have all of these people, and we can bring, high quality content and high quality people onto projects. And so you don't always have to look outside of this place and ship people in. You can use the resources in that community. And if we want those resources to stay in this community, we have to help them. We have to fund them. For the sake of the overall economic interests, as well as the sake of our own emotional well-being.
Yeah, it's very. I agree with you that we've got local talents, that can produce, Oscar-bound, awards, and I think it's time for us to patronize local, not only in business but in creative industry. We should, Diela said, if anything, entertainment is key in uncertain times.
Yes. I think it gets people through the tough times.
Yes.
And I think also the promise that entertainment will continue to be there, and that people will also now create things that mirror the world as it is, and also the hope for the world to be still be a good place, a good community. I think that can be modeled in these times, and especially in film, to show people there is a way forward, there is hope, and this is one vision I see for that.
That's amazing. So I've got a question. It said, what steps can the city take to attract more international artists and screenings during Calgary International Film Festival, like we have in Toronto, CIFF?
Well, I think one of the things about Toronto that differs from Calgary is it's one of the major film festivals on the festival circuit that kind of, I believe, culminates with the Cannes Film Festival. So I think that the Calgary Film Festival, we do have a lot of international artists that come here. But it is a different festival than Toronto. I think it's more focused on smaller films, on indie films, as opposed to, and I know that all of it is kind of near independent, but also it can have bigger names in it and things like that. But I think that it is important to have a showcase for the films that might not get huge audiences in Toronto's and things like that. And I think what the Calgary International Film Festival aims to do is to highlight kind of the hidden gems, if you will, while also helping local filmmakers and things like that get their time in the spotlight. Because Calgary International Film Festival is an Oscar qualifying festival. That's happened in the last, I believe, 5 years or so. But that's a huge thing, right? So if your film screens in the Calgary International Film Festival, you could qualify, to be nominated for an Oscar. And there's only, there's only so many film festivals in the world that do that. And so I think as far as attracting international artists and screenings, we do that pretty well. But I think a way that we could attract, the big names to actually come here instead of just sending their films and not attending themselves is create an environment that is more welcoming to the arts and to artists. And right now, I think we're viewed as kind of a kind of area where it's a little bit hostile towards art, or not as inviting as it could be, right? It's not as our art scene is wonderful, but it's kind of a hidden gem. And I think that if we got serious about promoting our arts and artists and not having, the best of our arts and artists moving away, then we would have, more international attention paid, and more people would want to come here and be part of the excitement and the action that's here, because they know about it. And I think right now the problem is they don't know about it.
Yeah, and like you said, I think we have a lot of talents that are living in town.
Yeah.
Because a prophet is without honor in his own town. And like you said, what things you said something about creating an enabling environment to attract these artists. If you are to do that, if you are in the position of authority to sit on a council, maybe on a provincial level or municipal level, what sort of incentive are you going to put in place to attract, to make that environment conducive for those international artists to come here?
Well, I think I would just, provide more funding for more artists and arts groups to have more community engagement, to have more involvement. I mean, yes, we have a theater here and things like that, but we only have a few companies that can even afford to put on large productions and that can afford to have really like solid seasons of theater, because the funding is just not there for there to be more diversity. And the other thing, like I said before, is that we just hemorrhage talent.
Wow.
And so the thing is that we have the talent, we develop it here, but in order to be successful, it seems that you have to go somewhere else.
Wow.
And so people who are now, writers in Hollywood, people who are now, actors in television and film and things like that, they've all had to leave to be successful, but they are from here. And if we had fostered that talent, maybe the talent would be here. So if we had, TV shows and movies and stuff like that were produced here, that were, well funded by the government, that were supported by the government, we could attract those big names. Yeah. And then, after you attract those names, they're going to want to come back for the premiere in the town, in the place that it's filmed, to celebrate with, the film community and the community that was built and the people that supported them. And I think until we do that, we're not going to be seen as a major cultural hub that people are interested in coming to visit. But if we become that big cultural hub, like I believe we absolutely can, then they will come for that, but then they will stay for the other things we have to offer, these beautiful locations. They'll want to come visit. They'll want to come see these places where these films were made. They'll tell their friends about it. And I think that is a huge opportunity for tourism, but also to really leave our mark on, the global community.
Okay, so we've got about 10 minutes more before we end this discussion. And I just want to ask, what's your favorite meal?
My favorite meal?
Yeah. You like to cook? Or
I do. I'm just trying to think, because so I'm celiac, and so food and I have an interesting relationship because I can't eat wheat anymore. So my favorite food would just be a big bowl of wheat. I love wheat so much; it's my favorite. But I guess because I can't do that, what's my favorite food? Pizza. I know, it's so sad. It's so sad. I love pizza so much. I would marry pizza if I could. If pizza is looking for a wife, I am interested. I just love pizza so much.
Okay, so
but I also love butter chicken. I love butter chicken and pizza.
Do you love pets?
I do love pets. I wish my little dog was around. I have a little Papillon, but he's quite fussy. He's French though, so the French are a little fussy.
So what is the next project you're working on?
Oh gosh. So I'm still developing a TV show that I'm working on with my partner, my writing partner, Kevin Weir. So it's called Dead Hearts, and we're trying to kind of get that off the ground. So I'm working on that, and then I'm also working on a project that I shot it on film. I'm working on splicing it together, kind of doing like a resplice of it, of just like a little horror short. And like I said, all the other projects got canceled, and so it's a weird kind of nexus in between time for me. I might start live streaming me playing video games and just generally being bizarre. I don't understand why people want to watch people playing video games, but if they want to watch people playing video games, by God, I'll get in on it because I can play
Yeah.
video games.
So the moment the pandemic is declared over,
Yes,
in
yes.
Canada, what is the first thing you're gonna do?
I'm gonna go fabric shopping. Isn't that
Oh,
weird? I'm gonna go
yeah,
fabric shopping. That was the last thing I wanted to do before the pandemic started because I'm trying to learn how to sew and how to make my own outfits and things like that. That's actually what this is. I'm gonna make a
yeah,
dress out of this.
beautiful.
But yeah, and so there was a material there that I was like, I shouldn't buy it. I'm not gonna buy it. And I've been thinking about it every day since and being like, why didn't I buy it? I should have just bought it. So that's the first place I'm gonna go.
Wow, thank you very much. Today on the Global Talkative series, our guest is Leah Nicholson, the movie director, writer, and a movie producer. And it's been an amazing. Diela said, "Wow, she's gonna come with you, for
Oh
shopping,
yes, yeah,
fabric shopping."
yes. Come, please come, and also teach me how to sew because I don't know how.
Yeah, I said she's gonna come because Diela makes some amazing, beautiful clothes.
Yes, yes. Oh
Lovely,
my gosh, she made me a beautiful dress. It's actually a
lovely,
skirt, but I
lovely.
wear it as a dress. Anyway, yes. If you're looking for somebody who can actually sew and make things that are beautiful, dial.
Yeah, so shout out to Diela. Want to make beautiful clothes? Go, sustainer_bill_G.
Oh, I should have worn
So
her. I should have worn that today. I made a huge mistake.
uh, amazing. So today's topic has been COVID-19, the rise and fall of the movie
We're gonna come
industry.
back
And
like a phoenix.
yeah, and we've learned a lot from Leah Nicholson, and I'm hoping that the provincial government will, take time to listen to this. If you can get them, please let them listen to this. Let them look at
Yes,
the
please.
numbers. Let them see the challenges
And I,
we are facing.
yeah, yes, and
Yeah,
I would love to send them like the actual economic models, the actual data. And this isn't from anybody who has any interest other than I think that we have a lot of talent here, and I think that we can do amazing things. And I'd really like you to see things the way that I see them because we have so much to offer, and I want you to partner with us. All right,
yeah.
be our friends in this. Be our friends. Be our partners, and let's build something amazing together.
Yeah, thank you very much for hanging out with me today. Thanks for all the guests from Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Larry Amushon, Chika Odimegweze, Vole Finley, Charles Osuji, Afoma Oyeko, Jim Maria, Diala Okra, Tosa Nosh. And by the way, tomorrow I have a beautiful lady, Tosa Bruno, coming. You gotta know about, a comedy, what's Uma gotta do with this COVID-19. So tomorrow, 5 p.m., we're going to be here live. And thank you for everybody joining us from around the world. It's been an amazing time talking to the beautiful Leah Nicholson. Thank you, Leah,
Oh,
for.
and thank you to Alicia Marie for
Oh, Alicia Marie, thank you for that beautiful
ceramics.
mug.
If you want to get one,
Yeah,
ooh, I just realized that. Yeah.
lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for everybody joining us today. And I'm still your host, Lanre Ajayi. And please, guys, keep social distancing, maintain that, keep safe. And I believe that in little or no time, we're going to flatten the curve and we'll get rid of the curve completely. The earlier we do that, the better for us to go back to our, normal life, doing things, but we still have to be careful. Thank you, Neil.
All right.
Yeah,
Stay
and
safe,
yeah.
everybody out there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.